Hello everyone, welcome to today's funny moments. She carries a vintage gun and before leaving, tosses her ring into a storage box as if it's trash. Then she hurries to school to pick up her 2 sons. So guess what? She cared so little about her sons that she didn't know they transferred. After getting the address from the principal, she looked bewildered. She manages to pick up her boys, and our homeless heroine desperately needs to find a new dad for the kids. She hands all her cash to little George to go buy a replacement car. The little guy has his eyes on a $3,000 Cadillac and is ready to seal the deal, but this stirs up the higher-ups, who think there's no way a kid could have that much cash. They plan to call the cops to investigate her. But then Anne shows up in the store, and the staff instantly straightens out. After all, her husband is nobody to mess with. With my only, she became a pop star and haggled a bit. She snagged the Cadillac for $2,500, and their first stop is Boston, where Anne's friend lies because George sure doesn't want to be a casualty in this parental war. He claims he wants to stay with his rich dad, saying he's not keen on it, but his body sure doesn't lie as he hops in the car, knowing Mom will be back in a week. Anne insists George drive to keep up appearances, and he spills all the driving tips he eavesdropped on, warning him never to look in the rearview. They arrive in Boston at night. With their friend away, the homeless group checks into a luxury hotel, and Anne unexpectedly bumps into a man at the entrance. Oops. This man once pursued her and attempted suicide after her rejection years ago. Luckily, he failed. Anne thinks he's worth considering. He's been divorced and is a big shot, which qualifies him for babysitting. He grooms himself like a star, getting ready for the date of a lifetime. Subtitle: George strongly disapproves of his mother's act of associating with other men, and as soon as they sit down at the dinner table, Anne regrets it. The seemingly gentle man is actually hiding some underhanded intentions. This guy is actually in some major trouble with his business and lured Anne here to borrow cash, thinking he'll pay her back by the end of the month. Just the thought of those debt collectors lurking around makes him lose it, and soon he's yelling in public like a total drama king. Anne's feeling a bit awkward because she doesn't even have a penny to lend. She excuses herself to freshen up and forgets her wallet on the table. In the restroom, she encourages herself, insisting everything will work out, but guess what? She comes out to find the guy's vanished. Her wallet's been looted clean. Anne tells the waiter to charge the guy for her bill, but the restaurant has a strict no stranger charging policy. The waiter helplessly explains she can't change the rules. Just then, a military officer comes down, claiming he met Anne at a party and offers to pay her bill. Before long, they are lovebirds and quickly get engaged, and Anne thinks happiness is just around the corner, but actually, an invisible nightmare awaits. George dislikes her, hates the military uniform, and resents her smug superiority. Ever since Harlan retired, he won't stop bragging about his military accomplishments, all while preaching individualism. George sneaks a giggle at his bro, and that sends Harlan into it. Harlan, looking puzzled, inquires, "Why do I seem so ridiculous?" Sensing something's off with Anne, he wipes that smile off his face and claims he's just tired. The potential argument fizzles out just like that. It's not just Anne who's over Harlan. Her brother Robbie is not a fan either. Robbie, being Anne's son from her ex, hates Harlan's attempts to force him to get a haircut. George once asked his mom if marrying Harlan was a mistake. Even Robbie couldn't answer that. She has only one mom, and whatever her decision is, she'll respect it. Speaking of mom, George can't help but think of his dad and calls him up. But on the other end, he gets a strange woman's voice. The next day, Harlan gives Anne some cash to prepare for the wedding. Halfway there, Robbie spots a group of disabled kids and, feeling generous, decides to get them something special. Anne, being the supportive mom, encourages her. She opts to use the full $500 from Harlan for kids, delaying wedding supplies. But her good deed earns her endless scolding from Harlan. He accuses Anne of stealing his $500. Anne vows she'll return that money, but oh boy, wishful thinking. But $500 not easy to earn. George covers for his mom, takes the blame, giving Harlan a reason to target him. Anne can't stand it and quickly shields George. Furious, Harlan demands Anne remove the necklace he gave her to pay the $500. Anne refuses, and they get into a full-on jewelry tug-of-war, where Harlan gets a taste of his own medicine. A scuffle continues down the stairs. George desperately hugs his mom from behind, but gets thrown to the ground. Anne grabs a handy tool to defend herself. Next stop is Ruffolk Town. Anne confidently claims they have loads of cash, but they end up in a cheap apartment. What a lie exposed. George is getting more and more excited. He waits for Mom to spend all her money, then swallow pride and return to NYC. A passing girl is curious. The little girl asks, "You drive such a nice car, but live here?" George chuckles sadly and replies, "We're insanely poor." The truth is, this situation is way worse than she thinks. The girl has a quiet brother, but seeing the Cadillac really sparks her conversation. She compares cars to men and women, claiming the Cadillac is definitely a lady. Anne can't help but be charmed by her humor. This little girl brings hope to Anne's life, but reality hits hard. The wallet's getting thinner. She urgently needs a new buyer. George thinks she's absurd. With money running low, why not return to New York to find Dad? However, Anne sticks to her guns and refuses to give up. She runs into an old friend, but after dropping Anne off, things start to get complicated. Alright, please don't come on, baby. Don't be tied down. Don't leave. Get out. George, who is standing by the window, isn't feeling empathetic. Also, she's angry at her mom. Anne stands, adjusts her clothes, realizing men approaching her have hidden agendas. She goes to the pawn shop to sell her grandmother's jewelry, meeting the girl's brother en route. Just a compliment from him lights up Anne's day, and she invites him out for a drink, but gets flat out rejected. She said she had something more important. She took her 2 sons to another party, where Charlie, the estate's man, had long admired her. Maybe they can start anew.